The haunted ambulance ride. I drive an ambulance. My life is not like others. While most people sleep peacefully at night, I spend my hours racing through empty highways, carrying patients hanging between life and death, or sometimes, carrying those who have already crossed over. The night I am about to tell you about was different. It was one of those nights when silence feels heavier than sound, when the darkness outside the windshield looks endless, swallowing everything whole. That evening, call came to the hospital. A young woman's body had been brought in. The story was that she had hanged herself. Suicide. When I saw her corpse for the first time, my skin crawled. Her face was swollen and pale, her eyes half open, as though she was still trying to see something. Her tongue stuck out in a grotesque way, and her neck bore the dark, bruised mark of the rope. Even in death, her eyes looked full of pain and unfinished words, as if she was still trapped in the last moment of her suffering. After the post-mortem, the doctors told me, "You'll have to take her back to her village." Nearly 200 kilometers away. 200 kilometers. In the middle of the night, with a dead body. Her brother was assigned to accompany me. A tall man, visibly shaken, his eyes red from crying. He barely spoke, only nodded when I asked him if he was ready. We wheeled the stretcher to the ambulance. The metal tray screeched slightly as it slid into the back. The woman's body lay covered in a white sheet, the outline of her face still visible beneath the fabric. The brother climbed in and sat down at the back, close to her feet. His head hung low, as though he didn't have the courage to look directly at her. I climbed into the driver's seat and started the engine. The headlights cut through the night like two sharp knives, but beyond that beam of light, there was nothing but endless darkness. As the ambulance rolled forward, I felt it almost immediately, an odd heaviness. The steering felt strange in my hands, and the wheels seemed to drag. The engine groaned as though it was carrying more than just one dead body. I brushed the thought aside, but the feeling remained. Outside, the world was silent. No other vehicles passed. No streetlights flickered. Only the sound of the tires against the asphalt and the occasional rustle of the wind against the trees. But inside that ambulance, the silence was different, thicker, heavier. The kind of silence where you feel like you're not alone, even though you can't see anyone else. I glanced at the rearview mirror once. The brother sat quietly in the corner, staring at the floor. But what caught my attention, what made my throat go dry, was the shape under the sheet. It looked different, almost as if it had shifted. I blinked, telling myself it was only my imagination, but deep down, I already knew this would not be a normal journey. The road stretched endlessly into the night. My hands gripped the steering wheel tightly, though my palms were slick with sweat. I tried to keep my eyes on the road, but the thought of the body behind me crept into my mind again and again. The brother sat there in silence. His head was lowered, but I noticed how his hands were trembling. He kept glancing at the sheet, shifting uncomfortably, as if every second he expected it to move. Minutes turned into what felt like hours. The deeper we drove into the countryside, the more isolated the world became. The small houses disappeared. No shops, no huts, not even the faint glow of a lantern. Just tall looming trees that lined both sides of the road like silent guardians of darkness. And then suddenly, the brother screamed, "Stop! Stop the car! Stop!" His voice cracked with pure terror. My heart jumped, and I slammed on the brakes so hard that the ambulance skidded for a moment before halting in the middle of the deserted road. "What happened?" I snapped, but my voice was already shaking. He didn't answer right away. His fingers simply pointed toward the back. I turned my head slowly, my stomach twisting in dread. And there it was. The corpse had shifted. No, she wasn't lying down anymore. The white sheet had slipped slightly, and she was sitting up. Her long, messy hair fell across her pale face, and her head was tilted unnaturally to the side, like her neck bones were broken, but still trying to hold. Her eyes, those lifeless eyes, were half open, staring directly at us. My throat went dry, my breath caught in my chest. The brother pressed himself against the corner of the seat, his voice breaking. "I can't sit back here anymore. I can't." I forced my voice to sound calm, though inside me, fear clawed at every nerve. "Listen, sometimes it happens. After death, muscles contract. The body can move. It's just science. but even I knew how weak my words sounded. Because this wasn't just a twitch. This was deliberate. The body had sat up. The man shook his head violently. His eyes were wide with terror, his breathing rapid. No, I can't stay here. Please, let me sit in the front. I nodded quickly. All right, come. He scrambled toward the front seat like a man escaping a nightmare. Once he was beside me, he locked his eyes on the road, refusing to look back again. I started the engine, trying to focus, but my heartbeat thundered in my ears. The ambulance rolled forward again, the road stretching into darkness. But something had changed. The air inside the vehicle felt wrong, heavy, almost as if we had picked up an extra passenger. The brother sat stiff beside me, clutching his knees, whispering prayers under his breath. I gripped the wheel tighter, telling myself to just keep driving. But deep inside, I knew this was only the beginning, because once the dead start moving, they don't stop. The road seemed endless, stretching into nothingness. The headlights of the ambulance carved two pale tunnels into the darkness, but beyond that, it was as if the world itself had disappeared. The silence inside the vehicle was suffocating. Beside me, the brother sat rigid, his lips moving silently, prayers slipping through his trembling mouth. He didn't dare look behind. Neither did I. My eyes stayed glued to the road, though every passing second I felt the weight of something unseen pressing down on us. The clock on the dashboard glowed faintly. 3:58 am, almost 4. I remember staring at that number, begging for time to pass faster, as though the dawn could save us from the nightmare tightening around us. And then bang! A sudden, heavy thud shook the entire ambulance. It was the unmistakable sound of something landing on the roof. The vehicle swayed, the metal frame groaning under the weight. My heart jumped to my throat. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. My hands tightened on the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. The brother gasped, clutching my arm. What was that? Tell me you heard that. I don't know, I whispered, though I knew exactly what it was. Something had jumped onto the ambulance. Then came another sound. Kirk. Slow, deliberate footsteps, moving across the roof. Each step sent vibrations down through the metal, echoing into my bones. No, the brother muttered. His face had drained of all color. No. I slammed the brakes. The ambulance screeched to a halt in the middle of the deserted road. The silence outside was absolute, the kind that made even your own heartbeat sound too loud. Against my better judgment, I opened the door and stepped out. The cold night air hit me, but it did nothing to cool the fire of terror in my chest. I looked up and froze. There she was, the corpse, the same girl we had carefully laid in the back of the ambulance. Now, she was standing on the roof. Her posture was broken, unnatural, like a marionette dangling from invisible strings. Her long hair covered most of her face, but between the strands, I could see her twisted mouth and those half-open, lifeless eyes. She wasn't lying down anymore. She wasn't even sitting. She was standing as if she had never died. A chill swept through my entire body. My throat locked up. I couldn't scream, couldn't move. From the corner of my eye, I saw the brother step out of the ambulance, only to collapse onto the dirt road, unconscious. His body went limp, as though his soul itself had fainted in terror. And still, I stood there, rooted to the ground, staring at the impossible. The dead girl's head twitched to the side, and I swear, though I'll never be sure, I heard it. A low, guttural laugh. It wasn't human, it wasn't alive, and it was directed at me. I stood frozen, my body stiff as stone. The dead girl stood on the roof of the ambulance, her twisted figure illuminated by the faint glow of the headlights. Her hair swayed in the cold night breeze, though there was no wind strong enough to move it. Her head tilted unnaturally, and from her throat came a sound low, rasping, almost like a laugh. I wanted to run, I wanted to scream, but my legs refused to move. On the ground beside me, the brother lay unconscious, his body crumpled like a rag doll. His face was pale, lips trembling even in his fainted state. And then something happened. From far, far away, a sound cut through the suffocating silence of the night. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. The Fajr Azan. It echoed softly at first, drifting across the empty fields, carried by the wind, but in that silence, it sounded louder than thunder. The sacred call pierced through the darkness, through the fear, through the evil that clung to the air. The corpse on the roof shuddered. Her body jerked unnaturally, like a puppet with its strings cut. Her twisted head snapped upward, her hair falling back to reveal her face. For the first time, I saw it clearly. It was not just death. It was rage, a distorted mask of pain and anger, eyes wide open now, glaring at me as if she wanted to drag me with her into the grave. But as the azan continued, Hayya ala as-Salah, Hayya ala el-Falah, her face began to change. The fury twisted into something else. The darkness around her seemed to weaken. Her form shook violently, her body losing its strength. And then, with a sound like a heavy sack dropping, she collapsed. The corpse fell from the roof, hitting the ground with a lifeless thud. Silence followed, a deep, consuming silence. Only the fading echoes of the azan lingered in the air. I gasped for breath, my lungs finally filling again. My legs trembled as I rushed to the brother. His eyes fluttered, and I quickly scooped water from a bottle, splashing it onto his face. He coughed, his body jerking as he returned to consciousness. His eyes darted wildly before locking onto me. Where is she?" he stammered. I pointed. The body lay still on the dirt road, wrapped again in the white sheet, as though it had never moved, as though nothing had ever happened. But I knew better. Together, with trembling hands, we lifted the corpse back into the ambulance. My heart pounded as I touched the cold, stiff body, my skin crawling with the memory of seeing it standing just moments ago. The brother sat silently in the front this time, refusing to glance even once behind him. His hands clutched the edge of his seat, his lips whispering broken prayers. I started the engine again. The ambulance rolled forward. This time, nothing happened. No strange sounds, no movements, just the quiet hum of the tires and the slow, steady breaking of dawn. But the silence inside the vehicle was not the silence of peace. It was the silence of something that had been there and could return at any moment. And even though the sun eventually rose, chasing the darkness away, a part of me knew the night had not let me go. That girl, her presence, her rage, still lingered. Even today, whenever I drive through lonely roads before dawn, I feel it. A weight, a shadow, as if she is still there, watching me through the rearview mirror. Did you enjoy the story? Let us know in the comments. And if you liked it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to The Horror Dream. Want more stories like this? Subscribe to The Horror Dream, and we'll bring you more darkness, just for you. If you enjoy a little chill down your spine, stick around, like, share, and hit that subscribe button, right here on The Horror Dream. Your support keeps us going, so stay with us. Subscribe to The Horror Dream for more spine-tingling tales.